Archaludon EX is one of the most hard-hitting and tanky Pokemon in the format right now. And in today's video, I'll be showing all the different ways you can play Archaludon EX. So I'll mostly be going over deck profiles of how to play Archaludon in the current format and in the future upcoming format. But also do note, if you're new to Archaludon EX, I still say watch the current way on how to play Archaludon EX. That way you have a better understanding of how to play, or rather, how you do play Archaludon EX. So to start off with the most popular way to play Archaludon EX, and that is with Dialga V and Dialga V Star. And there's two ways you can go about this. One is either play a 1-1 line of Dialga V and V Star, or play a 2-2 line of Dialga V and V Star. So for now, let me show you the 1-1 line most people do play. And that'll be 4 Archaludon EX, ignore the proxy, times are tough out here, 4 Archaludon EX, 4 Duraludon, 1 Dialga V, 1 Dialga V Star, 1 Squawkabilly EX, 1 Fezidipity EX, 1 Relicanth, 1 Radiant Greninja, 1 Lumineon, and 1 Iron Bundle. So these are the most popular Pokemon most people play in our Archaludon deck right now. And as for trainer cards, 2 Pokegear 3.0, 1 Palpad, 3 Earthen Vessel, 4 Night Stretcher, 4 Nest Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 1 Scoop Up Cyclone, 3 Jamming Tower, 1 Thornton, 4 Professor's Research, 2 Professor Turo's Scenario, 2 Iono, 3 Boss's Order, and 1 Black Belt's Training. And as for energy, we got 9 Steel Energy. And that is a 1-1 line of Dialga V and Dialga V Star. And so if you do want to add a 2-2 line of Dialga V and Dialga V Star, everything else Pokemon wise stays the same. You just add 1 more of each Dialga V and V Star. And then most people take out the Black Belt's Training, they take out 2 Jamming Towers, and they take out 1 Professor's Research. So which means the list will now be 4 Duraludon, 4 Archaludon, 2 Dialga V, 2 Dialga V Star, 1 Radiant Greninja, 1 Iron Bundle, 1 Lumineon V, 1 Relicanth, 1 Fezandipity, and 1 Squawk. And as for everything else, it'll be 1 Jamming Tower, 1 Artizone, 1 Scoop Up Cyclone, 1 Palpad, 2 Pokegear 3.0, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Nest Ball, 4 Night Stretcher, 3 Earthen Vessel, 3 Professor's Research, 3 Boss's Orders, and actually 3 Iono, 2 Professor Turo's Scenario, 1 Thornton, and 9 Steel Energy. And to make things a little easier, here is the list of the 2-2 line of Dialga V and the 1-1 line of Dialga V and V Star. And now these two are the most popular ways to play it. Now some people might change it up just a little bit, but just do note that these two lists are the most popular ways to play Archaludon EX. And real quick, the Stockholm Regionals have just finished and Archaludon EX got 3rd place. So I figured I'd just show you the 3rd place list from that regional. And as you can see, it's a little bit different because it does play the Trekking Shoes and Pokestop. So yeah, like I said, there are a ton of ways you can play Archaludon from the list I've shown you, and you can change it up a little bit to your liking. And as for the last way to play this deck in the current format is actually how I play it. Now I know I made a video going over it and I did run a 1-1 Dialga V V-Star line, but I took that out because I like the way I play it now. And the way I play it right now is I took out all of the Dialga Vs and V-Stars, and then I don't run Lumineon or Iron Bundle. I know, a bold move, but I took them out because the other 2 Pokemon I added are the Shuppet and the Bayonet. Because if you don't know about this Bayonet is, once during your turn, you may put a supported card from your discard pile into your hand. If you do, put this card into the Lost Zone and discard all attached cards. So pretty much if you're winning the game and that Iono your hand to like 1 or 2, you can just pop this, get a Professor's Research, get a brand new hand of 7. Or if you don't need to do that, you could just pop it to get either a Black Belt's Training to take a big knockout, or Boss's Orders to again get a knockout and get a win, or put yourself way ahead in the lead. But either way, I've used this so much, and also not a lot of people expect this, so as long as this doesn't get Dragapulted, you're pretty much good, because as long as it's staying in the bench and there's no other way for them to snipe this, if they bring it up into the active, they kind of just take a 1 prize turn rather than hitting your Duraludons, Archaludons, whatever, what have you. I don't know, it's pretty good. I like it. I really like it a lot. I've won more times with these Pokemon than I have with the other ones. But as for the rest of the list, 3 Earthen Vessel, 4 Night Stretchers, 4 Nest Balls, 4 Ultra Balls, 3 Pokegear 3.0, 1 Prime Catcher, because again, I like to gust whatever they have hiding onto their bench to the active to take a knockout with Archaludon, 2 Black Belts Trainings, because again, a lot of people expect you to have at least one of them. So if you have 2, you could either have one hiding into your discard, remember, pop the Bayonet to grab it, or just draw into it, or use the Pokegear to grab it, grab the second one. Still surprise your opponent and take a knockout usually. But moving on, also 1 Thornton, 2 Professor Turo Scenario, 2 Iono, 3 Boss's Orders, 4 Professor's Research, 3 Jamming Tower, 1 Palpad, and 10 Metal Energy, because I do want to discard as much Metal Energies as I can in the beginning and mid-game. And also late game, I don't want to run out of energies really, so just having that 1 extra energy really does help me in most games. But yeah, this is how I currently play it, and if I were to change it up a little bit, I might maybe just get rid of 1 Jamming Tower for an extra Squawk, or try to play it with 9 energies and play with the extra Squawk, because I do think it's very important to try to set up as quickly as you can your very first turn. Yeah, those are the current ways to play Archaludon EX right now in the current format. But now for the reason why most of you are probably here, and that's for post-rotation Archaludon EX deck profiles. And as from what I can see, there are about 5 different ways you can play Archaludon EX. So all the lists right now you're going to see are from Japan, and these lists are doing pretty well, some getting first place, second place, or just top cut in general. And the most popular way, and I mean popular, is Poison Archaludon. And this deck is so popular that even Anthony Fantano, the Needle Drop, is interested in playing this deck once rotation hits. And as you can see from here, there are other different variations of this deck, some without Petrunt or not, but either way, let me quickly explain how this works. So the idea of this deck is, obviously, you know Archaludon and what it does, the ability, the Steel Energies, but with this Poison package, you know, putting the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule onto the Brute Bonnet, poison the Archaludon and the other active Pokemon that your opponent has. So you're now doing 220 damage still, but if your opponent's Pokemon is like, let's say, a Roaring Moon, Iron Thorns, Iron Hands, it will now be knocked out by poison damage, which is also even better because they will now not be able to use Pheasantipede EX's ability, because it wasn't knocked out by damage, it was knocked out by poison. So shutting off Pheasantipede with the poison is also really good. So obviously with this poison package, it's just to get knockouts you normally wouldn't get. So for example, it's poisoned, now put on a Binding Mochi, it is now 40 more damage, so you're doing 260 plus the poison, so 270, and then add in the Perilous Jungle, and you're now doing about 290 damage. And if you want to go even further, some deck lists even run a Kieran in it, so add the Kieran to it as well, and you will now be doing 320 damage. So you can knock out a Dragapult that way. Or let's say you do have a Duraludon in your bench, you could set up Duraludons in your benches, and then with the help of Latias and Petrunt and Brute Bonnet, you could then move the Petrunt into the active and knock out a Pokemon that has 80 HP or less. Because let's say Brute Bonnet, you attach the Booster Energy Capsule onto the Brute Bonnet, poison both actives, the Petrunt's in the active now, and with Petrunt's ability is you add 5 more damage counters to your opponent's active, and then plus Perilous Jungle. Either way, you're doing a knockout on your first turn with poison, which is still really cool. Yeah, I kind of like this deck. Now, the 6 Steel Energy is a little weird to me. I might kind of want to make it 7, you know, because I do like to set that up. I do like to set up an Archaludon EX by like turn 2 or something. So this one might be played just a little bit slower to my taste, but I do definitely still want to try this out. Oh, and also, as you can see, Carmine will also help in your beginning setup. So this one definitely wants you to help set up, you know, with Squawkabilly, Carmine. But having 2 Night Stretchers is a little weird. Might want to bump that up to 3 because I feel like those will just get discarded quick immediately at the very beginning. Yeah, other than that, I do want to try this out. And as for different variations of this, so we got this one with the Petrunt. Then aside from the Petrunt, it's replaced with a Ditto. and this Ditto's ability is Transformative Start. So once during your first turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may search your deck and choose a basic Pokemon you find there, except any Ditto. If you do, discard this Pokemon and all attached cards, put the chosen Pokemon in its place, then shuffle your deck. So basically you turn this Ditto into Duraludon, Pecharunt, Root Bonnet, or any other basic Pokemon you have in your deck. And if you don't get it turn 1, then well, you can just use it to discard. For example, Secret Box, Earthen Vessel, Ultra Ball. Now it's just discard fodder for any of those. And this deck list does use Kieran. So if you're interested in this list rather than the one with the Pecharunt, here's this one right here. As for another one, this one has a Blood Moon Ursaluna. So let's say you're losing late game, you could use the Blood Moon Ursaluna to take a knockout. Along with Poison. So again, Binding Mochi, the Poison package, do even bigger damage. And this one has 2 Dittos as well. Yeah, as far as I can see, these are the 3 different type of ways people have been playing Poison Archaludon. So this one with the Blood Moon Ursaluna package, this one with the Ditto, and the one with the Pecharunt. And now for the second way to play Archaludon post-rotation, and that is with some Hops Pokemon. So for example, another way, this one's more of a pure Archaludon deck list. So you have Archaludon EX, but paired up with Hops Dubwool. And if you don't know, Hops Dubwool is basically if you evolve it onto your bench, it's basically a Iron Bundle, but you get to choose your opponent's bench Pokemon and put into the active, I believe. So which is why this list forgoes the Iron Bundle and puts in 2 of Hops Dubwool. And also for the big hittings, they do have 1 Black Belt's Training, but the ace spec of choice this deck uses is the Maximum Belt. So which means you'll be doing 270 damage. So 270, and let's say you do use Black Belt's Training on it, that's 310. You can knock out a Gardevoir, not so much a Dragapult, but either way, I'm pretty sure these are used like separate times, not so much in tandem with each other. But either way, this one's interesting. I do want to try this one out as well. But there is a different variation of this one, and that is this one right here, which is still uses the Scoop Up Cyclone and has 3 Carmine. So again, trying to get that early start, which I do like because it has 8 Metal Energy this time, except for 9, but who knows, maybe 8 could still be a good count. But also a good thing that I do like, really like, 2 Black Belt's Training. So if I were to try a Hops Dubwool Archaludon deck, I'd probably choose this one. So this is definitely another take on it. So this one has the Carmines. Okay, double checking. Yeah, the other one didn't have Carmines. This one does. I do like this one. As for ace spec, I think I would prefer Scoop Up Cyclone over Maximum Belt. But again, if you ask me, I still kind of say Prime Catcher. But, you know, Scoop Up Cyclone actually might be better in this one, and I think about it because the moment you evolve the Dubwool, now it's just fodder to be knocked out. But then again, you can Scoop Up Cyclone it to get it out of your bench, or just use Scoop Up Cyclone to get Squawk. But either way, I feel like you would want to use the Scoop Up Cyclone on the Dubwool. So I can't wait to try this one out. This one I do like. I like this one a lot. And now for another variation of this one. This one has everything that we've seen before. It's just added a Zacian, not Hops Zacian, just a Zacian EX, and a Judge. And then I was thinking about it because a lot of people do want to play. Also, I want to point out, I won't be showing any lists with Hops Zacian because most of the lists that have Hops Zacian in it with Archaludon, it's mostly a Hops deck. I would consider those a Hops deck, not so much an Archaludon deck. But yeah, as for this Zacian EX, this one is in there more than likely because this one can knock out a Cornerstone Ogerpon. Because, you know, Cornerstone Ogerpon's ability is prevent all damage from attacks done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have an ability. And as you can see with this Zacian, it does not have an ability, so I assume that's the reason this Zacian is in there. And then as for other Pokemon, you do have to watch out. Post-rotation would be Milotic EX, but you don't have to worry about that because that only stops attacks from Terra Pokemon. We don't have any Terra Pokemon. And then Farigiraf. So Zacian EX can't deal with a Farigiraf, but Archaludon can because Farigiraf stops basic Pokemon. Archaludon isn't. So, actually, no, I'd like this one more than the other one. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at these lists, and actually, I think I would rather prefer this one with this Zacian right here. But this actually is not my first choice. So, down the line, you'll actually see what I want to play first. So, first, I do want to play Poison, but the one I want to play after Archaludon Poison, I will show you in just a bit. But yeah, to finish off this one, again, 2 Black Belts Training. Do like that. 1 Judge for some really good hand disruption, more than likely mid to late game, 2 Jamming Towers, 8 energies, then of course again for the beginning setup, 3 Carmine, 1 Squawkabilly. Yeah, I do like this one the most so far for the Hops Double being included into Archaludon. So Hops Double and Zacian, I do like that post rotation. Okay, now going over this next one, which is a little bit weird, a little bit odd, but I do think it has potential in the future. So this one was made pretty early on, and I would call it Archaludon Control. So yeah, as you can see, this one we have Toadschool and Toadscruel, which isn't too bad because if you think about it, let's say Goldango gets more popular post rotation, this will definitely help you in the Goldango matchup, which is already hard for this matchup. So you have that there, and also to help with that and other ones is Genesect. I almost said Genesect V, but the Genesect, which is if you attach a tool to this one, your opponent cannot use A-Spec cards. So I do like it, but I probably would, if I were to put the Genesect into it, I would play like a Town Store and other Pokemon tools to help get a tool onto the Genesect. But as you can see, this list right here has the Rocky Helmet, which is if your opponent attacks you, you put 20 damage onto the attacking Pokemon, even if the Archaludon is knocked out. But yeah, this one was made very, very early on. I think right as soon as rotation hit in Japan, but I don't hate the idea of like an Archaludon control deck, to be honest. Like maybe down the line, I'll try to make something funny with this deck to kind of try to make a control deck. But either way, this is another one that I've seen and probably, like, again, might get popular in the future. Who knows? But I do want to show this one because it did do fairly well from what I remember in Japan. But now moving on to our 4th way to play Archaludon. And I do like this one too, and that is with the Dunsparce. So not only with the baby Dunsparce, you know, the one with the ability that allows you to draw cards, but the new Dunsparce EX. And just like the Zacian, I feel like this one is in here to help with the Ogerpon, Cornerstone Ogerpon. Because for the 1 colorless energy, it does 60 damage for every EX Pokemon on your opponent's field. So again, if you're going up against like a Terrabox and they have 4 EXs, that's what, 240 damage? So not bad, that's very relevant damage. And also the HP on it is 270, so that's not bad at all. And as you can see, this one has foregone the Pokegears because, again, with the Dunsparce, with its ability Runaway Draw, once during your turn, you may draw 3 cards. If you drew any cards this way, shuffle this Pokemon, all cards attached into your deck. So you don't really need Pokegear if you haven't evolved Baby Dunsparce to draw cards. So I do like this list a lot. I think I will try this one, but maybe cut down to a 2-2 line of Dunsparce and Dunsparce. Add a Black Belt's training and 1 more Night Treacher. And now moving on to the 5th way you can play Archaludon EX post rotation. And this one still has Dunsparce, but it also has something else I do want to add into Archaludon deck. And that is with Scyther and Scizor. And now this one is kind of an oddball one because the A-Spec of choice is the Unfair Stamp. So I think they're just assuming they're going to knock stuff out, such as the Dunsparce, Scizor EX. Man, I don't hate the Unfair Stamp. If anything, that control deck I was talking about earlier, the A-Spec of choice, I might just choose an Unfair Stamp to use with it. But for now, this one has the Unfair Stamp as the A-Spec. Again, 1 Black Belt's training. A heavy count for Jamming Tower, which is a little bit surprising. But I do like the Baby Scizor in the deck. And then, of course, foregoing the Pokegear 3.0 and then using the Dunsparce engine. So this one I don't hate that much, but I do like the next Scizor and Archaludon pairing. But this one has a 1 Scizor EX and 1 Scizor. And the Scizor EX I assume is in here because if you do discard 2 steel energies from it, you're doing 240 damage. And that can knock out quite a few Pokemon. And if paired with Maximum Belt, you're doing 290 damage. And then paired up with Black Belt's training, that is very, very big damage. But honestly, I was thinking about Scizor. Okay, by the way, this is the 2nd way I want to play Archaludon EX post rotation. I do want to play it with the probably a 2-2 line of Scyther and Scizor EX, Baby Scizor EX. Because for the Baby Scizor EX, for 1 steel energy, you're doing 10 damage, plus this attack does 50 more damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play that has an ability. So if they have 4 Pokemon in play with an ability, that's 210 damage. So again, Cornerstone Ogerpon. I feel like a lot of people are going to be using Cornerstone or Groupon post-rotation. And if they have, again, if they're using Terra Box, which is a deck everyone wants to use, a lot of those Pokemon have abilities. So I feel like you can get 210 damage easy with it. And then again, if they have only 3 Pokemon with abilities, you're doing 160, but then add the maximum belt, that's 210. Or if you need to knock out a stronger Pokemon with a single prizer, maximum belt plus black belt's training. I don't hate it. I don't hate having a Baby Scizor EX or Baby Scizor in the Archaludon deck, especially since the cost is just 1 Steel Energy. But as for Scyther, I'm thinking about the 70 HP one only because it has a free retreat. And not only that, this one actually forgoes the Squawkabilly EX and has 4 Carmine. So 2 research, but 4 Carmine. And then has 3 Pokegear 3.0. Probably to try to get the Carmine at the very beginning. Because again, I'll say it over and over again. The way I like to play Archaludon EX is try to set up as quickly as you can turn 1. By that meaning, discard as much energies as you can. So that's probably the only real changes I would change from this. Change the Scizor EX to a Baby Scizor. Change the Maxim Belt, honestly, into a Prime Catcher. And then get rid of the Counter Catcher and add 1 more Black Belt's training. That's probably what I would do. But we'll see in the future. But yeah, as for now, those are all the different ways you can play Archaludon EX post-rotation. And if I'm missing any ways you can play Archaludon EX, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know. And same goes for the current format. If there's a different way to play Archaludon EX currently, please let me know as well. Because we do have about a few more days, less than a week, to play the current rotation on Pokemon TCG Live. But we do have another week or two because I believe rotation doesn't hit IRL tournaments until April 11th. But yeah, other than that, post-rotation hits. Can't wait to test out all these different ways to play Archaludon EX. Who knows, I might start streaming it, just a stream of testing all these different Archaludon EXs. I'll keep y'all updated on that. Maybe I'll try. But I will say the first thing I do want to try out is the Poison Archaludon EX. But yeah, as always, thank you all so much for watching. See you next time. And one more thing before I go. How are we all feeling about Starmie? Because remember, this was originally how you would play Archaludon EX. Because the ability for Starmie is you pop it and throw 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Meaning you can hit for 240, or you could use that as a way to deal with Pikachu in Terra Box. I don't know, something to think about.